Welcome back, everyone, to the Frum Health Club Podcast. I'm your host, Mendo Krashunsky. Here at the Frum Health Club, we believe that health isn't separate from our Yiddishkiet, it's all part of it. When we strengthen our health, we become better able to serve Hashem, our families, and our communities with energy and joy. Today, we're joined by Mordechai Sopher, fitness coach, educator, runner, and author of the book Frum Fitness. Mordechai grew up in Los Angeles as a multi-sport athlete and later served in the IDF, where he developed the discipline and mental toughness that shape his approach to training today. After beginning his Baal Tshuva journey through Asia Torah, he discovered a deep love for long distance running and went on to complete nearly 20 marathons and several ultra marathons. He also represented Israel internationally as a member of the Israeli national flag football team, competing in Germany. For over a decade, Mordechai has worked as a men's fitness trainer, a physical education teacher in yeshiva and high schools, and a lecturer in Jewish health and wellness. He is currently completing his PhD, focusing on movement and fitness within the Frum world. Mordechai, welcome to the Frum Health Club podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Wow, what an intro. I'm so honored. Thank you so much for having me. You make it sound so good, you know?
Mordechai, if you can start with telling us how you got to where you are right now and giving your background story, your journey, how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, sure. So, Mendel, maybe you can relate to this. I was a boy growing up in Los Angeles, uh, secular, maybe conservative movement a little bit, growing up in LA. And I was exposed, thankfully, from a young age to a lot of sports. My parents were very encouraging me playing all different kinds of sports. I was competing in track, football, lacrosse later on, and sports were really my life. That was my main focus growing up in LA. And I went to Hebrew school growing up, but it wasn't a big part of my life, Yiddishkiet. And so football, that was the main focus. And I used to actually run out by you. I used to run at Taft High School out by you, and I used to train with some guys. One of the guys on my track team became a Super Bowl MVP eventually. So guys that were at the highest level of
Wow.
NFL players, college football players, serious track athletes. That was Los Angeles. A very serious sports climate, and so I was exposed to that. Thankfully, and I had some great coaches as well, and I learned a lot from them. And I was really just an athlete. I wasn't much of a coach, trainer growing up. It was just purely, enjoyed running, playing sports, and that's what, thankfully, I think kept me out of a lot of trouble and kept me focused was my love for staying healthy and playing sports.
Wow. Very cool.
So that was my
So
childhood.
nice. So at which point in your life did you feel that there was a shift, like that fitness wasn't now just like something that you were doing, but something that is really defining your mission like it is today?
Yeah. So the first time I really got to train other people was when I was in the Army. And thankfully, I was a good runner. I came to the Army in pretty good shape. My Hebrew skills were not amazing, but my fitness was pretty good. And the commanders asked me to help train some people, help them get their running level up a bit. And that was the first time where I really worked with people that were kind of at a lower level, and I really felt um, even more than a sports team motivation to help them get in shape because these were the guys in my unit. You want everyone around you to be in excellent fitness. So I had a lot
Sure.
of motivation to get them in shape, and I started pushing them along and getting them running. And I said, wow, this is an angle of sports and health that I never really experienced before. Not just focusing on myself as the athlete, but getting
Hmm.
other people. And I sort of enjoyed that role. Um, and then, really, after I got married, my wife, she knew that I loved exercise and running and things like that. And there was a course that opened up the Wingate branch in Yerushalayim, and I found out about it somehow. And she said, "You have to take this course." And so my wife pushed me actually into it on the professional level. It's actually because she knew that working in the office wasn't for me. She said right from the beginning, I knew you're someone who likes to be moving, you're active, you're not a desk job guy. So I have to thank my wife for that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What motivated you to move from also not from personal training, but also combining that with like teaching in the yeshiva and high schools. Like, what was the motivation behind that?
Yeah, so my main focus with fitness was men's fitness. Obviously, I wanted to, Frum Fitness, totally just working with men. I worked in kosher gyms, which are not totally easy to come by, but we have a few in my area where they have either it's an all men's gym or separate sides for men and women. So I first got exposure just, training middle aged men, children. I started doing some chugim, we call it after school programs, and
Mhm.
running and football, army fitness. Training elderly people. So I got kind of exposure at the beginning to all different types of people. And I really connected with training teenagers. I still really enjoy it today. And I just really felt like it was an age where I could really be like a counselor to them. And I really felt like that's an age that I really connected with.
Yeah.
And also just from a financial point of view too, also like it was just having a training business was amazing. Going to people's houses, training in parks. Actually now thankfully I have this this nice studio. Back
Nice.
then I was training in parking lots and
Yeah.
crazy places. It would start raining and parks and just it was all balagan, as we say. um, I said I want to maybe teach on a little bit more of a, do something a little bit more on a day-to-day basis and be part of a team. And so I had some great physical education teachers growing up, and I found when I played on the football national team, actually one of the players was a phys ed teacher, and he told me about Giva Washington, which is a phys ed college near Ashdod, actually,
Mm.
not far at
Yeah,
all.
that's right.
And it's the religious phys ed college in Israel. We have like maybe 4 or 5 colleges for physical education here in Israel, and that's the one that has like separate classes for men and women, and that's the one that has like the religious hashkafa. So I found that place. I went there. I really liked it. I interviewed, and then I ended up doing a degree in physical education.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. So I know, of course, that you are someone that really enjoys running. I also love running. You've done some pretty impressive runs, ultra marathons. Why did you start running and what got you into it?
Yeah. So, even growing up, I always sort of liked running, but I think growing up my focus was a little bit off actually because I was a football player, and that was originally my main focus in life was being a star football player. So I focused more on sprinting, and I think naturally I maybe have more of a build for a long distance body, and it would have been better to focus on that, I think, but I was always more focused on the sprints, even middle distance a little bit, 400 meters. But so once I stopped running track and field competitively, I started just enjoying going, a little bit of distance running on my own. Nothing crazy, but here and there I would do a 10K in LA. Growing up, there was one in the San Vicente area, like down towards the beach. I did that one a few times, and so a few 10Ks here and there. When I got into the army, I started running army training. It was a big part of my training. I started getting more into running, and I was living actually in a kibbutz down by a lot, so I was running a lot in the desert.
Mhm.
So Army definitely also took, I realized I was good at running, and I started doing it more. And then when the distance running really came in was when I was in yeshiva. When I went to Esha Torah,
Mm.
I was really, I was a Baal Tshuva. I was really putting in the good learning Seder in the morning, good learning Seder in the afternoon. I really needed that time in the evening to kind of unwind. And I just felt that
Yeah.
running through Yerushalayim at night was really relaxing for me, and I just kind of started going further and further. And a friend said, let's run the Yerushalayim Marathon. So we were a group of 3 buddies. We decided to do it together. One of
Wow.
them stopped along the way, like didn't quite get there, but we were pushing each other. And I ended up running it with a good friend of mine from the army. Actually, we ran the Jerusalem Marathon, and I loved the experience. Just running it. I wasn't doing anything fancy with my training back then. Really, like at least trying to get one long run in per week, one more of a speed workout, and one kind of middle distance run, maybe 2 middle kind of distance runs. But I didn't have a smartwatch back then. This was 15 years ago or so. So I was just kind of keeping it simple, enjoying running through Yerushalayim, and we just go running for a few hours sometimes. And then I got to the
Wow.
marathon, loved it, and it kind of spiraled into me doing a lot more marathons. All the marathons in Israel, basically. I think I did them all a few times.
Wow.
Some of them.
Wow. And some ultra marathons, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I did 3 ultra marathons. I did the 50K at the Yamamelech, the Dead Sea 50K twice, and I did a race called the Mountain to Valley Harla Emek, which was like 52K. A night run starts at midnight. You run all through these mountains and valleys, like the name of the run, mountain to valley. That was
Wow.
an amazing experience. The whole thing's with a flashlight, and you finish right
Wow.
as the
Wow.
sun is rising. Very
Wow.
cool experience.
Amazing.
Actually, so ultra running was kind of that. I got into that during COVID because
Wow.
ultra running is a totally different sport than road running. It's not even about the longer distances, like you're going beyond marathon distance. It's also just like it's a whole different vibe. It's like you're carrying your own water. Like you have less water stations. I mean, the Dead Sea Marathon is kind of like a marathon that's like stretched out into 50K. But like this other one, and a lot of the ultra marathons are, you have your running vest. Probably have one around here somewhere. Actually, I got a bunch of them. A running vest with your water, and you're carrying all your gear on you. So it's a little bit more like a trek. It's like you're trekking. It's a lot more about
Yeah.
the nutrition. The gear becomes a lot more important. It's kind of a different sport. It's a lot more off road. Going through water, mud, mountains, things like that.
Wow.
So it's kind of a
Wow.
different. So growing up, thankfully, I did some hiking in the Sierras. I was, Sequoia, Kings Canyon, these places, maybe,
Of course.
and that kind of, from a young age, thanks to my parents, they got me into that, developed a love for the outdoors. So when I found trail running during COVID, that was like a whole new world for me,
Mm.
uh, because it's, running off road, different terrain.
Yeah.
And so I really started to like that form of running. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's some beautiful places to run here in Israel. Trail running is, yeah, it's great places to run here.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
Including where
nice.
I live in Shalavim, we're
Yeah.
right off the Israel National Trail, so I can run right on the Shvil Yisrael and Emek Ayalon and different tons of trails. Anywhere in Israel you can find trails, so it's really
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. So I wanted to ask you, as you are a professional trainer, someone that wants to start to get into running, there's so many amazing benefits of it. But what's a practical way for someone to start?
Yeah, so it's an amazing workout. Running, it's really practical. You can do it anywhere. A good pair of running shoes helps, but other than that, you don't need a lot of equipment to get going. Um, so the first thing is that people don't usually know how to control their pace very well. I was actually just teaching students about this today. Most
Oh,
people, you start off with a run, let's say it's a 5K, a marathon, any distance. People will start off sprinting and then, they tire out. Most like inexperienced runners. So
yeah.
beginning runners need to, sometimes if someone's a total beginner, I like the technique of kind of doing like intervals of kind of walking and running, not going for a run right away and definitely not starting off too fast.
Yeah.
But I would say it's definitely, if someone can have someone check their form also, because a lot of people also running incorrectly. There's a lot of injuries in running from, especially when middle-aged people start picking up running. A really amazing method for staying healthy with running is running on softer surfaces. Like trail running has been so good for my body, and less injuries and things like that. I mean, other than you have to be careful not to trip on a rock and things like that, but it's the soft, what we call shvil afal, like a dirt road, is very healthy for the joints. So people shy away from trail running usually, especially beginners. But I would say softer surfaces are good for starting to run. I also like to run on the treadmill a bit too, so that can sometimes be good to start off. Get a good pair of running shoes. It really makes a difference. An
Yeah.
old beat up pair of running shoes versus like some of the new technology with these new shoes out there now. It's like you get a good
Yeah.
pair of shoes, it makes it a lot more of an enjoyable experience. So, invest in it a little bit. Get some good running shoes. Yeah.
For sure. For sure. So I want to ask you, what was it like representing Israel on a national level with the flag football team? If you could share a little bit about that, how that happened.
Yeah, it was very cool. So I was a serious football player in high school. I guess I didn't get to my full childhood story. I was playing football up until 12th grade, and I was going to play actually college football at a Division III school.
Oh,
And I actually, through a lot of crazy siyata dishmaya, I don't know exactly still how it happened, but a big life changing happened where I decided to come to Israel for the year at 18. And which was very, I didn't go to a Jewish school. It was just it wasn't the trajectory I expected, but that's what ended up happening. I came back from that year. It was my first year of my life where I wasn't a competitive athlete. And I came back. I did come back to the States before I settled in Israel, but I kind of had a different focus. I was like, all right, I don't really want to play football competitively now. I want to try other things in college. I was much more, I did college in the States also and in Israel, physical education in Israel, economics in the States. But I wanted to be more involved in Jewish, things in college in the States. And then, fast forward a few years later, yeshiva, army, yeshiva. I find out there's an Israeli football league right as I'm getting out of the army. So I start playing tackle football.
Wow.
and I enjoyed it. I actually did have a knee injury that actually led to me going to yeshiva. So that was kind of crazy. Like I tore a
Oh
ligament
wow.
in my knee, and then I was like, okay, now what do I do? So I ended up going to yeshiva. So that was really cool. But then I came back the next season. I played again on the tackle football team, and then I was playing also. There was a yeshiva Motzei Shabbos league, the old Kraft Stadium, and
Mhm.
I was playing there, and they invited me, come to the tryout for the national team. So I made it onto the national team as like a defensive back, cornerback, safety, and yeah, we practiced a lot of practices, and then we had this big tournament in Germany, and it was really cool. There were like 50 countries there. We were there for like a week and a little bit. We got from the Chabad there. Actually, we got a Sefer Torah to keep with us in the hotel. We
Wow.
went. We davened one of the Rosh Chodesh. We were there for a Rosh Chodesh. We davened there in the great synagogue of Frankfurt. It was pretty cool. So a lot of the guys on the team were actually religious, not the whole team, but a number of them. So we had minions. We brought all of our own food. We didn't play on Shabbos. That was a worked out thing. Also, it's pretty
Wow.
cool.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And it was great to play other countries. Teams like from Japan and from
Wow.
Europe, all different kind of crazy places. And we did well. We did well. We only lost one game there. We did well. We and it was a really fun experience. But after that, and even though thankfully I had a great tournament there and I really did enjoy it, but I felt like it was taking up a lot of my time, and I was kind of ready to do other things. So I decided, I'll stop it right there. Even though there were cool tournaments coming up, I think in the Bahamas and Italy and other cool places. But
Wow.
I said, you know what, I'm going to focus now. I want to get married, and thankfully, about a few months later, actually, I met my wife, and kind of started a different path. But to have that experience was great, and especially because the next Olympics in our hometown of Los Angeles, uh, 2028, I think, flag football is actually going to be a sport. And
Wow.
Israel's likely going to have a team there because we've always
Wow.
been one of the
I didn't
top
know
teams in
that.
the world,
Wow.
actually. Yeah. Yeah. Israel, I mean, when I was on the team again, we were fifth in that tournament. I think Israel's kind of usually in the top 10, even still today. So
Wow.
this was 11 or 12 years ago when I was on the team. So it's been a while. I don't know. I've aged a little bit. But yeah. So it was just, really cool experience for
That's
sure.
amazing. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
We wore our kippas, and we were like, really proud to represent Israel there. It was an amazing
Wow.
experience. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Awesome. Okay. So I want to get, of course, to the new book, the book Frum Fitness. There it is, Frum Fitness. Many of our members in the oh wow, there it is. There's a gym. Very nice. Very nice. So many of our members already have got it actually, and they're really enjoying it. But I wanted, to hear it from the author. What inspired you to write Frum Fitness?
Amazing. Well, I connect to what you said at the beginning, that I felt like connecting from Yiddishkiet, from life and fitness is kind of a topic that isn't maybe more now, but it's a topic that isn't always dealt with. I think we all wish that rabbis and a lot of the rabbanim that I do listen to speak about fitness more and more now. The shirim, I'm hearing it more and more coming up about challenging your body is like
Yes.
challenging your neshama, and overcoming issues in life. Like there's a huge connection. We know this, but it was something that always, I connected with both sides, the frum side and the taking care of your body and the sports and everything. So I gave a few years in a row. I gave a shir on Shavuot. I would give a shir. I'd give a class on Frum Fitness, basically on like how as Jews can we, as Torah Jews, how can we take care of our bodies? How can we exercise more, eat healthy, even with all of our challenges of, let's say, Shabbos or Kiddush or supporting a big family, dealing with these challenges, and also taking care of ourselves. Um, and obviously modesty, tzniut in the whole fitness
Love this.
picture is also a big thing too. So I started to give this class. I think I gave it like 3 years in a row. This was maybe 8 years ago. Um, and so I had a lot of notes piled up from that, like
Uh,
lecture that I was giving. And then I just, from teaching at yeshiva high schools, I just kind of started writing and writing and writing, just chapters from experience with training with people, from teaching. And I just wrote ideas for like a year. I didn't really know where it was going. I was like, maybe it'll be a manual, maybe it will be. So that was the first year, as I just kind of wrote, and I had like 150 pages of word pages, like
Wow.
written. And then I actually had a professional editor look at it because I was like, I'm maybe writing a book. I have this stuff. Maybe you can take a look at it. He made some recommendations to me. I fixed a few things, and then I just kind of for another year just kind of worked on it, just kind of obsessively in between things like at the school, in between classes, just kept working on this book. And so that brings us to like 2 years of working on it. It was like again, now it was like kind of a book. I was like, whoa, this is a manuscript here, but I definitely need other people to look at it. I need other sets of eyes to like look at this, and it needs some work, you know. And then a friend of mine who's a professional editor, he was too busy to take on my project, but he connected me with Mosaica Press in Beit Shemesh, Mosaica here, which is
Shout
connected
out to
with Feldheim. Yeah.
friends.
So
Love them.
I signed with them. I did a few like interviews with them, and they looked at the book, and we made it together. I had a really good content editor who really like we were really aligned. He's a Rav that really knows fitness and wellness well, and it was cool. We made some nice edits on it, and we worked on it for about another year. So it was about a 3 year project, 2 years by myself, and a year with Mosaica, and then it came
Wow.
out like a little less than a year ago. Yeah, 8 months ago, I guess.
Wow. Wow.
So
Amazing.
yeah, Baruch Hashem. And I really try to try to make it a fun read because there are a few other books like with Torah and health, and I just they can be very dense, you know. So I tried to make it a very fun read for people, with a lot of my own personal life experiences as a Baal Tshuva, as a coach. I have some interviews with people that really made life changes in the back. Actually, I have a few, like 3 stories of people that really changed their lives around. And I wanted people to see that. And I tried to make it very personal. And I also tried to make it like a little bit of a mini lessons in like anatomy, physiology, how to like start running, how to start weightlifting, how to build a home gym, very practical little things. And we actually in the end it kind of like we shrunk a bit. It's like 115 pages now. Like we kind of
Yeah.
condensed it down. But I'm
Yeah.
actually happy about that because I think you made it really a fun read, and you can kind of flip to any page and kind of pick a sugya, and like, again, deals with modesty, nutrition, yeshiva fitness, like things that are very relevant to the frum world, and yeah, and men and women also. I made it. I tried to make it all more friendly, also for the like female audience as well, and a few women also read it and said that it was, you know, good, inspiring, whatever, helped them out. So yeah, Baruch Hashem. It was kind of a dream come true. Yeah. So
Nice. Nice. Okay. Amazing. Amazing. So definitely, I highly recommend for people to check it out. Could you share maybe one of the lessons in the book? Of course, a lesson that someone can take.
sure. So one thing that I really talk a lot about in the book, and also when I talk to people when they train with me, is you really have to enjoy. You have to find what you enjoy in life. You know, if you do
Yeah.
something you enjoy, it will be a lot easier to do it. So um, each person is very different. You know, and so when choosing a workout and also a diet, everyone's different. You know, everyone's different. So I really encourage people to kind of experiment. I try to give like a kind of a introduction to a lot of different kinds of exercise and different kinds of nutrition. And like myself personally, let's just say nutrition wise, I think intermittent fasting, for example, is a really cool concept, and I like
Yeah.
it. I don't personally do it. I have clients that do it, and they're seeing good results from it. But I take some of the principles from it. You know, like I take some of the main principles. Also, like you know, Rambam principles. Like I'm not like a full on Rambam diet person, but like I definitely take principles from it. So I think the idea is that you want to get knowledge and you want to try to find things that you enjoy, because a lot of middle-aged people just they don't know where to start with exercise because they think they don't enjoy it. And I've had people find some pretty like out there forms of exercise that they end up really liking. Like even one guy who was like really into climbing stairs, like stair climbing,
Yeah.
and it might be more of like swimming or rowing. Yeah, like there's the standard exercises, and then people might, if they try different things, they might. I talk in my book also. I have a brother-in-law who got really into martial arts at an old, around age 40, and
Yeah.
it really improved his fitness and his motivation and everything. So it's really about. I really encourage exploring in life, doing
Yeah.
kind of a test on your own body. did I like that? Try different exercises, try different diets, see what works for you, because what works for me might not work for you, but it's cool to try the different things and see,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm always like experimenting, like also with my sleep and things like that. Like what makes you sleep better? What makes you, it's like, so it's good to explore. I think that's like a big concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking about sleep, so there's a guy named Brian Johnson. He's very well known, and he spent millions and millions of dollars researching about health and what are the top techniques and biohacks. And he says, if I can tell one thing to people, which is like one of the most important things, is about sleep. So, you mentioned testing out different things with sleep. What would you recommend people to do with their sleep, as it's obviously very important to their health?
Yeah, for sure. So sleep goes under one of the things that we call recovery, right? Professional athletes, they train very hard in their sport, but most of the time they're recovering. And that's become actually a really big, thing today is actually recovery techniques, with all these different cool things like the saunas and the cryotherapies and the massages and all this stuff. So recovery is a
Ice
huge thing today. Ice baths, yeah, Zev, shout out to Zev,
bath. Shout out, yeah.
right? um, so recovery is huge in professional sports and in general today. We have to recover well too. We can't just go
Yeah.
full force all the time, right? So sleep is one of the main parts of that recovery and a very natural part of it, right? So again, sort of like nutrition and exercise, people kind of demand different amounts of sleep, I think, individually from person to person. Um, there are the commonly known things that, like, as it's getting close to bedtime, you want to turn screens off. You don't want that stimulation from the screens and things like that. Some people might not want to exercise close to bed. For some people, it
Mm,
wires them
yeah.
a little bit. Not all. That's why I'm saying each body is different. Some might do a workout at night and be ready to have a great sleep, but someone
Yeah.
else might actually be wired from that. Um, there's something called like a medieval sleep cycle, which is like kind of sleeping in like two blocks where you kind of sleep for the first part of the night, wake up for like, let's say, an hour or two, and then go back to sleep. So some people actually sleep better in like shorter blocks. If
Well,
someone's into like tikkun chatzot and stuff, that's also can like, they can
yeah.
wake up and do that and kind of separate the night into like in half. So some
Well,
people actually sleep better that way, but it's maybe not everybody. So, but you can
yeah.
experiment with that type of thing. Eating before bed is a big thing. You obviously don't want to eat too much before you go to bed. You don't want to, you want to make sure the environment's very comfortable in the bedroom, comfortable bed. There's all kinds of like sleeping products today, that it's dark, that it's, quiet, things like that. So I think it's an experimental thing, but I definitely have clients that have trouble sleeping. I talk with a lot of my clients about it. Some have improved as their fitness has improved. So just being in better shape also helps your sleep. Just being tired from a day of being active. Um, but yeah, it's a big thing that a lot of my clients, I would say, most of them have trouble, don't sleep as well as they would like to. I know, you know what? Even though I write about this in the book, I'd say myself included. I wish I could, sometimes hit like a deeper sleep sometimes too. I mean, I'll give myself a little bit of the slack because we have a baby, but I was waking up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Nice.
Baruch
For
Hashem. But yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Amazing. So you obviously, you have a lot of things going on. You're a trainer, you're studying for the PhD, you have a baby, and, you're managing to get all of it done. For, someone that feels busy, feels like they don't have time, what would you recommend them to do
I think
to
that
get it?
exercise gives you a lot of structure in your life. I mean, running for me now, because I try to run 5 times a week. I try to run almost every day. Not always long runs. Sometimes it's squeezing in some time on the treadmill. I think that definitely your exercise schedule can give you can structure you a bit. I think your learning schedule, davening schedule, keeping things sticking to a schedule. I think the running definitely keeps you more energized and a lot of my stuff I do while I'm out running. Like I'll listen to Torah classes or I'll make
Yeah.
phone calls. Sometimes if I have like work calls, messages, whatever, I'll go out, I'll run on the trails and I'll stop even a little bit. I'll answer a few messages. I'll keep
Nice.
running. You kind of like do it out in nature a little bit.
Yeah.
Is so I think the exercise for me really really structures me. And I think, thankfully, when you have a big family and things like that, you just have to be efficient. It's like I just think now as a student, how much my study skills are so different than when I was like in high school, where you could just sit around and kind of, take your time, now it's like when you got to get it done, you got to sit down and get things done. So, but
Yeah.
I would say that when I do try to when I have free time, I like to go out running and usually listening to Torah class while I run. So that's, let's say spiritual and physical. So I really try to get things done so that I can free up some time to go running for me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can tell you're also great at multitasking. I saw you post in our group. You did like an 8K with the stroller and the baby. It's very nice.
Yeah, that's something I've been doing with all my kids, and it's really great. I mean, you have to do it in a safe way, and have a good running stroller, but it's something that the kids really enjoy, and it's I
Yeah.
prefer to run on trails, but when I take them out on like a bike path or something, it's really fun. That you're bonding with them, so you can kind of talk to them a little bit as you're running, give them some
Yeah.
snacks, and I love it.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
100%. 100%. And
Just to show you another like unusual thing I do running. This is called an altitude mask. So sometimes I'll run on the treadmill with this. This is like makes it difficult to breathe a little bit. It simulates
wow.
like being up at like altitude.
Wow.
So there's different levels, and so that's really a good way to kind of do like breath work as you're running because it's more like I don't run outside with it, but on the treadmill I'll use it, and it kind of like gets you more focused on like the breathing. If you want to like give your body a break, but maybe a little more intensity on your lungs, like that's also a cool little piece of equipment there.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Very interesting. Yeah, I was saying that like for the kids, you're giving them first of all, the gift of you being healthy. That's the greatest gift that you can give to your kids. But on top of that, you're also teaching them, how important it is. You're not just telling them, oh, you got to be healthy, you got to be healthy. You're showing them, how to be healthy, and that's I think very beautiful and very impactful.
Thank you so much. It's a
But
big challenge today, not just in kids that we teach as a phys ed teacher in the schools, with your own children. It's a big challenge today to keep your kids active. There's a lot of things to
for
it's a
sure,
harvest, let's say, that will keep kids very sedentary today. So
yeah,
it's a struggle for all of us. Even if we're the most fitness enthusiastic person in the world, to get the next generation to do it is a challenge. So you know,
yeah,
that's one of
yeah,
my big goals today. Yeah, definitely is to get my kids into it, whether it's through tennis or running or hiking. So
yeah.
yeah.
When you're coaching men, how do you help them overcome, let's say, excuses, maybe fear, or even inconsistency?
Oh, so you hear a lot of excuses as a trainer. People, you ask them, did you train from last session to this session? And they say, I wanted to, but there's a lot of excuses. But I tell them there's always going to be excuses. It's going to be the weather, busy times, stress. I tell them you have to think opposite. You have to think like, okay, I'm in a stressful time. I have to exercise more. I felt a little sick. I have to exercise. I'm kind of a fan of like when you're not feeling so well, you should exercise. Maybe not in a high intensity way. Low intensity exercise. Maybe go on a walk or a slow run, but that we should kind of think opposite, like counterintuitively. As sometimes we think I'm sick, I just need to sit in bed all day. It's like no, you should maybe like when I'm sick, as soon as it breaks a little bit, I'll get on the treadmill and like start running like low intensity, very low intensity, hydrating a lot. So I think yeah, just the biggest thing with excuses is just teaching that there's always going to be excuses, and we need to have consistency in everything in our spiritual life. I try to bring that into like, okay, we always have excuses not to go to shul in the morning. We also have excuses not to learn. We have to just kind of get those excuses out of our head and just try to make consistent, healthy habits.
Yeah, and we have to remember, that guarding our health is a mitzvah. As we had our first podcast, Dr. Ruby Minkowitz said it beautifully. He said, just as we don't think twice, am I going to put on tefillin? Same thing, we got to take care of our health. It's
Yeah, yeah.
non-negotiable
And,
for sure.
I'll mention one other thing. There's something called informal fitness. Formal fitness is what I would say is like going to the gym, going out running, lifting weights.
Mhm. Yeah.
Traditional things that get your heart rate up, working. Strengthen your muscles, like all different kinds. But a big focus of mine recently has actually been what I call informal fitness.
Mm.
That was actually really brought to my attention by a mentor of mine, of Michael Kaufman. He's an amazing, amazing man. He's 94 years
Oh,
old. He wrote
Michael
this book.
Coffey. Yeah, of course I know about him.
Rob,
Yeah,
Rob,
yeah.
yeah.
He was interested. We're gonna have him on the podcast.
Whoa,
Yeah,
amazing!
yeah,
He's really a mentor to me. I met with him in his apartment in Yerushalayim, and when I read his book, it's a very different angle than my book. He's basically like a much bigger Talmid Chacham than me. Basically, he learned with some of the top rabbis, and he's just amazing. He's a Rav. He's
yeah.
amazing, but he always lived a life of health and fitness and but through a lot of informal fitness, which is more like things like walking. He lives even now. He lives in an apartment complex where he never takes the elevator. He's always
I
using the
heard that. I heard
stairs.
he always takes the stairs. He's never taken the elevator. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. You definitely get him on the show. His desk is a standing desk. So like right now, even doing this interview, like I'm standing. Like I stand a lot, thanks to Rav Kaufman. And I think that it's important to just, even if we're not formally exercising, a lot of people can benefit from just standing more, walking more, taking the
Percent.
stairs more. It's these basic things that are so important. And like my shul is 500 meters away from my home. So if I walk there and back, that's a kilometer right there.
Amazing. It's
It's
amazing.
nice.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
nice. That adds up over the course of a year.
For
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Yeah, we're doing right now in the Frum Health Club. There's a separate group for a 10K step challenge, and it's crazy. Like people are saying, like I never knew that. Like just by not driving to shul or whatever it is, you get creative when you have to get those 10,000 steps. You could just be walking. It's nothing crazy. It's like you're just like you're just adding a little bit more, steps into the day, and it makes a
Yeah.
big difference. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. And the
Yeah,
standing was a finish for me too, because standing is like, well, what fitness are you doing standing? But it's really, you actually, thanks to Rav Kaufman also during my davening, I stand for most of the tefillah
yeah.
and he stands for all of the tefillah.
Wow.
But
Nice.
I stand for most of it. But it really does, for me, improve my kavana and my, just feeling better physically after shul,
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
there's a lot of pluses of just not sitting in general.
If you could point out the number one habit that you think could change from man's health more than anything else, if you had to pick one.
Mm. Okay, so similar to what I was saying before, I think if a person finds things that they enjoy and connect to, it'll be much easier to do it. So I think a person who's not in good shape and not eating healthy, they're going to go out and exercise and they might just hate it, and it's going to be, and they might even start working out, but how are they going to maintain that consistency? So I think finding ways to enjoy what you're doing in anything in life, but especially with fitness and nutrition, things that work for you is a big key. And that's one of the things when I train with people, I really try to make it a fun exercise session. I try to make it a fun activity. We're talking, you know, um, we're talking about life. We're talking about our spiritual life also and things like that. So I think, and I talk about this in my book, if you can combine your fitness with like a spiritual activity, like let's say running while listening to like Torah classes, then you
Yeah,
can be like, all right, my running isn't just about my physical body. This is a chance for me to just get out and listen to some Torah, or like make phone calls, while you're walking or running instead of just sitting. So I think I think the informal fitness, like I spoke about, is
yeah,
huge. Like forget even just running and all this. Like just move. Move,
percent.
natural movement. Walk more, stand more, use your body. That's huge, and also just building that enjoyment by trying different things. Yeah. So
Yeah,
maybe that's a little unconventional what I said. Maybe most trainers would say, I'd recommend, interval workouts combined with try some, do
yeah,
two strength training workouts per week and three aerobic workouts per week. But
yeah,
yeah, so that's the nitty gritty. And there's, obviously lots of different shitas, different methods of how to exercise and things like that. That too, though, people have to find what works for them. Like people commonly ask, and I write about this in the book, what's better, strength training or aerobic cardio training?
yeah,
And like they're both good for you. You have to find what works for you. In the ideal world, you should do it all. You should combine. It's called cross training.
training. Yeah,
Swimming with running, with biking, with hiking, with stretching, with. So ideally, you want to try as much as you can to get your body moving in different ways. But as adult, maybe, that's more practical maybe in high school. But as an adult, when you have limited time, things like that, you try to find the things that you like. For me, it's trail running. So when I get a free moment, I get on the trails. So people should find that thing that like is enjoyable for them, and
For
really
sure.
find that. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So I wanted now to shift a little bit about nutrition. So, in the frum world, as you mentioned, we have Shabbos, Yom Tov, Simchas, with all these things. There's a lot of food. Most of the time it's not the healthiest. So if someone could maybe fix something in their diet, let's say one thing in their diet, what would you recommend for that to be? Like, what would you advise to start off with?
Mhm. So I think a few of the basic tips that can be very helpful. I mean, what I've seen success with in clients changing is basically a lot of the principles of the intermittent fasting, not eating too late at night, um, giving your stomach time to rest. Just kind of as very simple as it is, like just eat less. They say like when dieting is too difficult, try fasting because it's like if you don't have that control, like just don't eat at all, you know. So and a lot of people are very against this fasting method. They think, if they're not into it already, they're like, no, 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 I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not fasting. But I think from I've watched, I've read about it, and I've seen people lose weight with that. And I think the principles of it make a lot of sense. That you're kind of giving your body time to recover, and that you're kind of like keto style, where you can kind of start to turn your use the fat stores for energy rather than your food stores, like your glycogen. So I think if you can kind of get into that, not eating too late at night and getting more into that, intermittent fasting is a huge concept. Low carb is also a big one. I mean, I think it depends how active you are. If you're active, I think you can get away with carbs, and some bodies
Yeah.
handle it better. But I think for the person who's not moving a lot, and when I go, like if I'll go to a hotel or a place with a buffet, I'll try at those type of places to really stick to like fruits, vegetables, protein, to kind of avoid all the carb stuff. Even though on a normal day to day, like I do eat, try to eat whole spelt and things like that. But limiting your carbs, your carbohydrates, especially white flour, is a
Hmm.
pretty basic known concept today that I would say I support if you're not an active person. Yeah. If you're a really active person, though, you can kind of, I think you have a lot, you still want to eat healthy because then you realize I'm going to feel a lot better if I go running after a healthy meal. But you
Sure.
can get away with a lot more. That's the thing, is you can
Yeah.
kind of enjoy these treats. And actually, ultra marathon runners who are very extreme, they run these long runs. They're in the middle of these ultra marathons. They're not eating carrot sticks. They're eating like Coca Cola, pizza. Like they need the calories in their body. And
Yeah.
that's
Thousands,
not
thousands
a
of
normal
calories.
person. Yeah, that's not your average person. Like, I'm not saying the average person is to do that, but
Yeah.
I'm saying is don't think that everyone, you can get away with more if you have an active lifestyle. And you can also make desserts a lot healthier. That's also really key. Like my wife, thankfully, has gotten really into this, like whole spelt, less sugar. So you're still having, like, you're not saying I don't eat sweets, I don't eat cakes, but you can just make things so much healthier with a few
Sure.
small
Dates.
changes.
Yeah.
Like, and also one of my main dietary things is that process. I try not to eat processed foods. Like I just very simple. Things that have a lot of ease and things like that. Yeah, try to
Yeah.
stay away from that as much as possible. That's kind of like a no brainer, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Our previous guest, he said something really funny and true. He was saying that, or 2 weeks ago, he was saying that like if the ingredient list looks like a Megillah, it's best to skip it.
Whoa, 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 for sure.
Yeah.
I'll give a shout out also to some of these alternative products now, like the fake meat and stuff. Like
Mm.
some of these products are really tasty. Some of them, the ingredients, you have to check the ingredients on some of those, but some of these like Beyond Burgers and things like that, you could eat one of these burgers and like actually feel pretty good to go work out right after. I wouldn't eat a normal hamburger and go on a run after,
That's
but
right. That's right.
some of these
Yeah.
like alternative products, like you can go like work out after and they feel a lot lighter on your stomach. So like it's kind of a
Yeah.
cool direction things are going in. But still, even like with these type of products, you have to be careful. Some of them do have a lot of weird ingredients.
Amazing. Okay, so to close things off, it's really been a pleasure speaking to you, and I really appreciate you sharing all these great insights. But I wanted to ask you, what do you hope that every person that's listening to this podcast understands about their health after listening to this and how they can focus more on their health?
So I think a big focus in my book and a big focus in anything I do, whether it's training people, teaching, is combining health with ruchnius, right? With our spirituality. We need to, if we can find a way that it's a spiritual experience for us, um, running while listening to Torah classes, or realizing why we're exercising, that we can have more zrizut, that we want to be running to do mitzvahs. We want to feel good so we can serve a Kadosh Baruch Hu, the best that we can. So if we have this kind of kavana that we're attached, that they're really connected, the spiritual and the physical, then I think that's what we need to do, and that it's not that they don't contradict each other. They really go together and enhance totally.
Percent.
And I think that now more and more are realizing that exercise is a very wholesome activity, whereas maybe further back, it used to be kind of like bittul Torah, and maybe you should be learning more and not exercising. But I think we realize now that it's a really healthy, good outlet for especially young people, and really for all people, that we need that good, healthy outlet to turn to. Um,
For sure.
to kind of use exercise. And actually, I'm doing a study now for my PhD, which is a lot about exercise and emotional health.
Mhm.
So, looking at that side of kind of alternative sides of exercise and how it affects us, working on as people, just getting over stress and getting motivated and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Thank you so much, Mordechai. It's really been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I wish you tons of hatzlacha with your podcast and with your WhatsApp group and all the other cool things you're doing. And I really,
Amazing.
really enjoy your WhatsApp group. It's awesome to see a bunch of Frum guys, just sharing cool pre-mikvah exercise or chakras running. So it's
Yeah.
very
Baruch
cool
Hashem.
to be in like a like-minded community. Again, spiritual and physical, people that are
Yeah.
like taking both very seriously is a very special combination. So
Yeah. Baruch
yeah,
Hashem.
so good luck
Awesome.
to you. And thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate
All
that.
right, Mendel. Take care.